Welcome to Time Savers Shorts. You've got just enough time to sit back, neck a cup of tea and enjoy these tips, brought to you by Joe Parry from Windermere St Anne's School.
Do you find that every time you get to your pigeonhole it's full of rubbish? If you think 10 pieces of post every day over 180 teaching days, do you know that's an awful lot of time wasting literature? I think if you can get how you manage your pigeonhole right, I think this could save you an awful lot of time. So, first piece of advice, don't let it build up. Deal with it every day. Have it on your to-do list, have it in your schedule every day and get it emptied. Secondly, go with the right equipment to the pigeonhole. Your pen and a pack of post-its will allow you to redistribute everything in your pigeonhole to the appropriate places. And if you need to write a note to somebody to say what you want done about something, you've got the material there to do it. And thirdly, take your diary with you, because in that pigeonhole I can guarantee you there will be notes from colleagues inviting you to meetings on certain dates, parent conferences, etc. Put them straight in your diary and then the paper can go in the recycling bin. And those educational suppliers, the bane of our lives, send us lots of things to tempt us into buying. Well, actually, do you know what? If you've not contacted them for something, or they're not a company that you deal with regularly, then actually I will put it straight in the bin. And finally, why not use this mantra when you get to your pigeonhole? Every piece of paper needs to fall into one of four categories. Deal with it, pass it on, file it, or bin it.
Lists, lists, lists. Make a list. And even better, if there's something that you've done and it's not on the list, write it on the bottom and scribble that one out as well.
Hi Debs.
Hi Joe.
Now, as coordinator for years 7 to 11, which sounds just the most huge job, you've got to be super duper organised, haven't you?
Yeah, I do.
Do you manage to save enough time for yourself so you can spend time with the family and do the things you like to do?
Not always. It's quite difficult to do.
Any sort of tips for people that you use as a senior manager to maybe save a bit of time during the day?
I try and use other people to help me as much as possible. So I'll quite often ask pupils to help. So they'll write a report on the event. We had a French theatre that came in last week, for example, and I was asked to put something in the newsletter, so I've asked the kids to do that for me, so that, that takes the onus off me.
But it's also good for them as well, because...
Absolutely, and they really enjoy having the opportunity to talk about it.
And their name in print is good.
Absolutely.
Talking about French, and I know that's your great love, you organise a French trip, don't you, every year for our Year 8s?
I do.
Now, organising a trip, I know, can be really time-consuming. Mm-hmm. How do you deal with all the paperwork side of that?
Well, most of it, I have to admit, most of that I do myself. So I've got everything on my computer, and that automatically goes out every year. And when I get reply slips back, for example, letters back from parents, then I have a system on the computer set up, and I just fill in the relevant details on there. So that makes it much easier now.
I think, if you've done something before, I think it's key, isn't it, to keep things and not reinvent the wheel every time you're doing something.
Absolutely.
I think one I've used with that, when you're getting sort of things like permission slips back, etc., it's quite good to make the children responsible for that. So I quite often will do an A4 envelope with a class list on the front, and as they put their permission slips into that, they tick their names off on the front, and then at a glance you can see where you are. What about those mindless jobs, Debs, that, I've got to do a set of photocopying for my next French lesson or things like that?
I do it myself.
However, have you thought that when you go there, what if you're waiting for the photocopier or while a run's going through? What about taking some of your letters that you need to read with you, or some of your filing?
I mean, while I'm waiting?
While you're waiting, yes.
Could do that.
Yeah, well, there you go.
I hadn't thought of that.
Debs, thanks very much.
It's a pleasure, Jeff.